from the CyberHub bunker and studio, you're tuning in to the CyberHub Podcast. And now for your host and CISO, James Azar.
Good morning, everyone. Sorry we're a bit late this morning on the show. I do apologize. We had some technical difficulties. We got them resolved. We're good to go. High fives. All right, all the way around. Thursday, June 16th, 2022. Packed show today. Citrix, Office 365 ransomware, Android spyware, bipartisan data privacy bill, and Interpol with some amazing work on some social engineering. So all of that on today's show. Before I do that, tomorrow, 11 a.m. Eastern, right here, Mr. James McQuiggan is going to be joining me. We're going to be talking about what does the economic downturn mean for cybersecurity practitioners? A real honest conversations. There's been a ton of layoffs recently, especially over the last few weeks. I think a lot of us are seeing the cost of living go up, and a lot of CFOs are recalculating. So if you're a practitioner, if you're in security, have you had that conversation? And how are you preparing, and how can you as an individual prepare yourself for the next several years, which are bound to be very, very difficult in the job market? So we'll be talking about that tomorrow, 11 a.m. right here. And we'll also have trivia and giveaways. So tune in tomorrow, 11 a.m. Eastern, live on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, Twitch, everywhere you can get our show. And then we'll have the audio version on your favorite podcast listening platform. CyberHubPodcast.com is where you can get all the latest. Let's get into the show. But before we do that, I cannot skip my double espresso. I don't know what you're drinking this morning, whatever it is. Coffee cup, cheers. Let's get into the Citrix warning of a critical bug that can let attackers reset admin passwords in the Citrix application delivery management. Citrix ADM is a web-based solution that provides admins with a centralized cloud-based console for managing on-premise or cloud Citrix deployments, including Application Delivery Controller, Citrix Gateway, and Citrix Secure Web Gateway. The bug tracked as CVE 2022-27511 and reported by Florian Hauser of CodeWhite is caused by an improper access control weakness. It affects all supported versions of the Citrix ADM server and Citrix ADM agent. So a successful exploitation of the security flaw can allow an unauthenticated threat actor to corrupt unpatched systems remotely, leading to admin password resets. That's really significant. So upgrade or mitigate ASAP, according to Citrix. If you're using them, get it done. Critical code execution vulnerability was patched in Splunk Enterprise. Splunk announced the release of their out-of-band patch that addressed multiple vulnerabilities across Splunk Enterprise, including a critical issue that could lead to arbitrary code execution. Providing a big data monitoring and search capability, Splunk uses Splunk Enterprise deployment servers to distribute configurations and content updates to various instances, including forwarders, indexer, and search headers. Tracked to CVE 2022-32158, CVSS score of 9.0. The critical severity vulnerability exists because Splunk Enterprise deployment servers prior to version 9.0 allow clients to leverage the server to deploy forwarder bundles to other clients. Because of this issue, an attacker could compromise universal forwarder endpoint and then abuse it to execute arbitrary code on other endpoints connected to the deployment. This has been resolved and requires your update. So you're already spending a fortune on Splunk. Make sure it doesn't cost you more money than what it already does. Fix this and move on to your way. Researchers have discovered a way to attack SharePoint and OneDrive files with ransomware. Researchers have discovered a functionality within Office 365 that could allow attackers to ransom files stored on SharePoint and OneDrive. On disclosure to Microsoft, the researchers were told the system is working as intended. That is, it's a feature, not a flaw. It has long been considered that files stored and edited in the cloud are resilient to encrypted extortion. The autosave and versioning features should provide sufficient backup and capabilities. However, Proofpoint has demonstrated that this is a false assumption. Their report, our research focused on SharePoint Online and OneDrive, and shows that ransomware actors can now target organizations' data in the cloud and launch attacks on cloud infrastructure. There are two ways this can be achieved: through the Microsoft versioning function. Old versions beyond this limit are by design difficult, if not impossible, to restore. The first attack is more theoretical than practical. The second is immensely practical. The difficult maximum number of versions of a document that will be stored is 500. The attacker simply edits and encrypts the file 501 times. Then edits do not have to be major, just enough to make the system store the new encrypted version. By the end of the process, all versions of the documents will be encrypted and the file will be irrecoverable without the decryption key. The attack is theoretical, but nonetheless, it can get done. Good research by Proofpoint here. Something to consider if you're cloud-based. A sophisticated Android spyware Hermit is being used by government. So Hermit, the threat appears to be first publicly identified mobile spyware developed by Italian vendor RCS Lab or Tyke Lab SRL, which claims to be a telecom solutions company, but which is likely a front company. Tyke Lab appears closely connected to RCS, with its employees claiming on LinkedIn to be working at both companies. They appear to operate in the same market as NSO Group, as Gamma Group. They're reselling, phone break-in features to governments like Bangladesh, Chile, Mongolia, Myanmar, Pakistan, Turkmenistan, and Vietnam. But again, they also sell it to the US and Canada and UK and everywhere else. I love sometimes how we want to highlight all these bad countries. See, you should think bad. Well, offensive cyber capabilities is a thing, right? No different than offensive weapons, no different than missiles, no different than ammunition, no different than anything else. Governments are going to buy it, good and bad, no different than weapons, right? And they're going to use it for good or bad, no different than weapons. The idea that we should be outraged that these companies are out there is something different. If you want to change it, then you can, go to your government, petition, and hope that something changes. But I find the offensive cyber market not going away. And the more we talk about these stories, the more we make it worse, honestly. Not really feeling it. So a bipartisan data privacy proposal, again, faces another uphill battle. A lot's been going on where a new bipartisan data privacy proposal is facing from opposition from privacy hawks and business groups. The current draft of the privacy bill is the American Data Privacy and Protection Act, ADAPAPA. Will have their work cut out for them trying to appeal to both, set of critics during a hearing on Tuesday of this week. Groups on both sides of the spectrum have praised the fact that the bipartisan legislation on this issue is coming out. Breakthrough. You guys all know our Congress and Senate isn't exactly known for making stuff actually take place. So the fact that this is bipartisan is all of it means. Showing you that Washington can get along if they just put the interest of the citizen before country before party would work. This draft takes a new approach to two issues that have long divided lawmakers: whether individuals should be able to sue over violations and whether a federal framework should supersede the various state-level initiatives that have popped up over the years. There's an argument to be made for both. As a practitioner, I'd love to see it supersede state levels. As kind of like a constitutionalist, I think states should have more power than the federal government. And I am torn. I don't have an opinion on this. I know that there's a lot of people that are saying this is unworkable. There's a whole lot of stuff around it, but it's definitely something to keep an eye on and weigh in on it. Why not? In our final story for today, good guys prevail. Interpol seizes $50 million and arrests 2,000 social engineers. The campaign and operation codenamed First Light 2022 seized $50 million, arrested thousands of people involved in social engineering scams worldwide. The operation was led by Interpol with the assistance of police in 76 countries, focused on romance scam, telephone deception, business email compromise, and related money laundering. There were 1,770 locations that were raided, some 3,000 suspects identified, 2,000 operators, fraudsters, and money launderers arrested, over 4,000 bank accounts frozen, and some $50 million of $50 million worth of illicit funds were intercepted. Chinese national who defrauded 24,000 victims at $35 million in a fake kidnap case that demanded a payment of $1.5 million from the victims' parents. Also a Ponzi scheme posing as an e-commerce affiliation and e-shop business in Singapore. So, well done. Really good news there. Folks, that's it for the show today. Tomorrow, 11 a.m., James McQuiggan and I will be taking you down the economic path of cybersecurity and what the future looks like and how do you survive what's headed towards all of us here over the next several years in security. That's it. Make sure to tune in tomorrow, 11 a.m. Till then, have a great rest of your day and stay cyber safe.
We love feedback, so make sure to connect with us on social media and subscribe to our podcast on your